I'm mad at you. Nope, you can't say anything. Oh, and you know why? It's because today's cocktail is called The Last Word, which I'm gonna have any argument. Welcome to Dan's Bar. I hope you've had a good weekend so far. Week, day, hour? I don't even know what it is anymore, but welcome to whatever it is and whenever you are. Today we're making a cocktail with ingredients you probably don't have around the house, but are delicious if you happen to have them around. It's going to be called The Last Word, as I said, and it is a cocktail made with chartreuse, with Luzardo maraschino liqueur, gin, and fresh squeezed lime juice. The last cocktail we made was in Manhattan, and Manhattans are great because all they have are rye, vermouth, and some bitters. Super simple, most people probably have it around the house. Today's cocktail is something that is the polar opposite, where things probably are somewhat specialty things, but it's really tasty, and I happen to have all of them except the maraschino liqueur, which I'm going to be using in a couple other things down the road, so I figured why not pick up a bottle. Chartreuse is actually one of my favorite spirits. It's really herbal, floral, tastes like plants. Tastes like herbal plants. But it's delicious, and it's one of the only, well, no, it is the only drink, the only liqueur to have a color named after it. Factoid you didn't know before, and now you do. Chartreuse comes in both a green and a yellow variety. Green is a little bit more strongly flavored. It's more delightful. And so what we're making today is a drink called The Last Word. And it's an easy one to remember because it has one part. Super straightforward. As a side note, so the lime juice we have here is freshly squeezed. And I've got this fine little dandy, which is of squeezer. And one thing that took me about 2 years after owning this to realize is that when you put the lime or the lemon in, so the lemon or the lime, you put it in, so you cut a lime in half, and you put it face down, so the curvy part's on the top, and that way when you do this, the whole body of the fruit gets pushed against the bottom and it goes out nice and perfect and gets all the juice out. For the longest time, I'd been putting it in like this, which is the shape of a little insert here, and when you squeeze it, it just kind of goes everywhere and makes a mess, and it's not really useful in any way. So I learned that, and now everything works better, and you can actually do it right into a little shot glass. So what we're going to be doing is making that cocktail, and we're going to be doing it in a shaker. For this particular one, we are again going to be using the coupe to put it into, because I despise martini glasses, as we have already discussed. It's going to be delicious, and we are going to be filling this up with a couple of our ice cubes, croutons, whatever your term for this delightful little device is going to be. We're going to get it nice and shaken up, nice and cold, get a little bit of water in there to dilute it down, get those ice chips. Gonna have a little bit of opacity to our beverage. Totally okay, we're gonna be good with that. And as you may have noticed, I have, instead of ordering these by most common to least common or volume, by height. I think it's pleasing to the eye. It also covers my face less, and let's be honest, that's the important part, this mug right here. The shaving thing? Not a fan. Anyway, so we're gonna be doing 1 ounce of each of these into our cocktail. And we have our fancy little pour right here, where we're gonna be, 1 ounce of our Luzardo maraschino liqueur, which is, contrary to what you'd expect, transparent. Who knew? And the next one we're going to be putting in is our chartreuse. Now, chartreuse, it is actually made by 3 Carthusian brothers and protected by a vow of silence. It is probably not an accurate statement with regard to how they make it, seeing as the volume that they're working at now is pretty significant, but it's made with a whole bunch of herbs. It's similar to other bitters where a lot of botanicals, a lot of herbs, a lot of spices go into it. It's not something that most people want to drink straight. Personally, I do, but it is great in a cocktail. It adds a lot of flavor. It's easy to overpower other components of the drink, but it also has a lot of body upon it, and it's super tasty. The other thing we're going to be adding is a gin. Now in this case, I'm going to be adding a local Koval dry gin. We've already got some sweetness from the maraschino and from the chartreuse, so I don't want to have a sweet gin like maybe a Tanqueray. I also don't want to have kind of a held back gin like a Hendrick's, because it would kind of fall apart in the mix and you wouldn't be seen. Koval makes a couple different types of gin in Chicago. Great distillery. One of them is barrel aged, which I almost used, but I feel like because we've got a lot of other light colored transparent liquids in here, it might add that, it would be the only thing adding that woody, heavier flavor component, and I think it would stick out like a sore thumb. So instead I'm just using their classic gin, which has more body, not overly piney, but still enough that it's still going to provide that underlying support for the other components of the drink. So we're going to be adding 1 ounce of that, and it is going to be adding as the third element, and Our last element is going to be that freshly squeezed lime juice, and that is from my run to the store today, which will be my last one for the foreseeable future, because I was able to pick up all the things that I needed, including a bunch of limes, lemons, and oranges. So we're going to go ahead and add an ounce of that to our drink as well, which has already been measured. Hashtag preparation is everything. And then we're going to go ahead and shake it. Now this one we're going to want to get really, really bitterly ice cold. So I'm going to shake it down below and try not to cover up the audio too much. But as before, you want to make sure your hands turn blue. Make sure your hands start to freeze off. You should see some frost starting to form on the outside of the shaker container. And this container that I'm using is the size of one drink. You are very welcome to use a Boston shaker or whatever kind of shaker you happen to have in town or have in your house. If it works for you, fantastic. There are some that are insulated shakers, and if you happen to make a lot of martinis and your hands start to hurt, you could probably just wrap it in a towel, which would be about $50 cheaper. But alternatively, if you've got money to burn, you can also get an insulated shaker, where the shaker is actually structured like an insulated coffee cup. All the cold is kept inside, so your fingers no longer lose feeling, unlike mine are losing right now. And I think we've sufficiently lost enough feeling and gotten enough of those ice chips into the drink, so we're going to go ahead and strain this into our coupe that is already ready for our beverage. Now you do notice it is somewhat opaque, but it's going to clarify over time as those ice chips melt and the air bubbles that we've induced by the process of shaking kind of filter out. But it's got that nice color that's given to it by the chartreuse that's been added as one of the components. Everything else is transparent with the exception of the lime juice, which is not far off from chartreuse. So it's this really nice kind of almost key lime color that is going to give us that nice appearance. And as it comes out, you can see it almost looks like it's shaken with egg whites. It's almost that frothy style, but not quite. And so it's going to be very refreshing, very fragrant, very herbal. It's not going to be everyone's style, but if you happen to have things around and you like chartreuse, this I think is one of the best chartreuse cocktails out there. It's really quite tasty. And of course, because we must complete our drink in every way possible, we have some cherries to throw on top. It's the cherry on top, wouldn't you say? I used that joke already, great. I can't use that joke twice. Who am I talking about? Of course I can use that joke twice. Jokes are terrible. The more you use them, the better they get, right? Anyway, let's see. How's that looking? Yeah, that's good. It's a nice balance. It's got a lot of herbs. It's got the kind of sweetness and the cherry-ishness, that's a word, right? Of the maraschino liqueur. Yeah, it's good. Not one you're gonna want to have every day, but I think it'd be a great one on a hot summer's day, sitting off on an awning, watching the sunset before you go into some of your darker cocktails. If you're looking for just something that tastes a little bit lighter, a little bit more refreshing, it's a good one to go to. It's almost a little bit like a sour, like a a sour. I don't know, it's tasty. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying whatever day it happens to be, whatever week it happens to be. I hope you're enjoying yourself, doing something fun. If you're not, I hope you're practicing your cocktail creations and making sure that none of those cocktails go to waste, because that would really be a travesty. Yeah, so be well. Hopefully everyone is doing well, and enjoy your cocktails. Cheers.